A lot of young kids aspire to be DJs because a DJ can be a symbol of making it out of difficult life.
Although you can learn quickly how to push buttons and mix music, it's much more deep than that, and it can go as deep as you want to take it, essentially.
We were not able to play Afro House gigs and all of that. It made it very difficult. That's why the album, if you listen to it, you can feel that it's more of a journey.
What up, my friends? Welcome back. Brodie Nero TV, another big podcast, another big interview. Let's rock. We got Stones and Bones in the building. How you guys doing?
All good, Brodie. All good.
Nice.
Feels good to be in Bali.
Yes. That being said, you guys are fresh off playing Morbito Fridays, I think about a week ago, which are like a staple night here in Bali for a few years. You also played my favorite, Miss Fish Bali, last night. Was an awesome show. And then you were in Phuket playing Cafe Del Mar too?
Yeah.
Nice. How's the crowd and the vibe there? I was always curious. I haven't been yet.
It's amazing. We played in the club room, and the sound system is massive, and the people the energy, the vibe is just on another level.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah,
Phuket's cool. I was there recently for a different show at a different venue, but Cafe Del Mar I've always wanted to get to. It looks like a vibe.
Good energy.
Nice. Cool. So you guys are basically wrapping up an Asian tour leg now, yeah?
Yeah, Southeast Asia. We
Cool.
had like 4 shows. It was Morbito, Cafe Del Mar, and then we went to Bangkok. We played a place called Escape.
Nice.
And after that, last night we just flew into Bali.
Cool.
So all the shows were like back to back, and then we just had a little bit of a break in between.
Nice.
Yeah.
Was the tour to promote a specific project or recent release, or?
Not really. It's just a good, convenient time. We were supposed to go to Australia too, but things didn't work out this time around.
Okay, cool.
So
the
we
Friday
did have a release.
Yeah, the Friday we were playing Morbito. We had a new release. And
nice.
also, I think it's a new territory. We've never been, like Southeast Asia, like to perform. It was our debut in a way.
Cool.
Been here for holiday, but to play, it was an experience. I think.
Nice.
It was amazing.
Yeah, cool, for sure. So now that you've been to Bali a couple times, what's your thoughts on the evolving music scene here? What do you think now you've played Morbito, Miss Fish?
It's hard to really comment on that because it's our first time here, but we're surprised about how much the genre that we play in has grown worldwide. We've been around for quite a few years now, and it used to be quite a small niche. It's massive now, so you can go almost anywhere and play Afro House or melodic tech or that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that's I guess a big surprise that you can come here and there's 10, 20 places all playing this sort of vibe. Of music, so it's grown a lot.
Yeah, Afro House, I mean, it's huge now. It seems like in recent years, it's gone from something that was seemingly a bit underground to much more popular and well received. What's your guys' thoughts on that? I feel like sometimes when people are a part of like a more underground scene and culture, and then it leaves that sort of underground space and becomes more quote unquote commercial, for simple terms. How do you feel about that? Are you guys cool with it? Do you like the fact it's more mainstream?
I think I'm loving it. I think it's we were on the underground, but then the reason why I think a lot of the guys were pushing was so that at least the genre becomes known. So I personally think it's a good thing, but then obviously with growth also comes a lot of negative, like we saw the influx of a whole lot of DJs and all sorts of things because a genre is popular, so Afro House became pop, it became popular. But I don't think it's a bad thing that it did that, because I think as artists we were always trying to get our music out there. And then now that the genre is out there, I think the people who are hating on the fact that Afro is big, I don't know, but I think it's a good thing personally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because the underground cats are now able to move around like they could. You can do a world tour as an Afro House artist, whereas back then it was only the big names, like let's say Black Coffee. But now even the up and coming guys are able to do a whole lot of things. So I don't think it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
I'm loving it.
Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
loving it for sure.
You can't stop progress.
Yes.
And with Stones and Moans in particular, we've always been much more melodic as producers and performers. So for us, it's fantastic because we've always brought that side of music into our performances and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it's not a difficult adjustment for us in particular. I would imagine if you're someone who produced in a different way with limited elements and very tribal kind of house-driven stuff, that this is very hard for you to adjust to the way things are now. Because there was a while ago, the genre of Afro tech was a bit bigger, which was less melodic and harder sort of stuff. So I would imagine for some of those kinds of guys, could be a little bit more difficult to adjust to where things are. But for us, it's right up the alley where we are very comfortable with
amazing.
where things are. And I suppose if you stick around long enough, the wheel turns and it gets to a place where you're comfortable.
Yeah,
for sure. It's like the sound caught up because we were always different. Because the Afro House, the melodies, like Casper was saying now, that we write a lot of songs, we use instruments and stuff like that. So back then it was a bit, it was not difficult, but it was different. But now that the scene is there, where there's like melodic vocals, there's like synths, melodies, and stuff like that. It's like for us, it's like okay.
Yeah, you're in your zone, like your comfort zone. Like it makes sense. It's not foreign.
Yeah,
it's what you guys
do. It's like the culture, like Afro tech. It's more in the clubs, right? But then we would be like in a very nice popular like beach club or whatever. So it's like now we've brought the beach clubs back into the clubs, which for us it's like. It's really dope, but like Casper is saying, like for the guys who are used to just doing the harder stuff, I think it might be a little bit frustrating. Anyway,
they
can just stick around because it will evolve again and become something different.
It's life. Yeah, I get it. I just thought of this like Instagram post I saw a short while ago, and I saw multiple people in the industry talking about it, and it was something along the lines of they were like kind of like talking smack about how too many people are taking classic like pop vocal song or classic pop song vocals and putting it on Afro beats.
Yeah.
And of course people in the club are going crazy for it, but it was more like industry, like niche, like real Afro house heads that were like, man, we're tired of seeing that, like it's played out. What's your guys' thoughts on that becoming a more and more common thing? Do you think it's cheesy? Do you think it's cool?
I think just like everything, you know, it's the time for that. I mean, like I listen to a lot of hip hop, and when you listen to hip hop, I mean, for that was the foundation of hip hop. They were taking songs that were existing, making the beats, and then somebody would just rap over it. So I don't see what's the difference between what's happening right now. We haven't done like any bootlegs or anything like that, but we'll play a few bootlegs and if we like it. But I don't see what's the difference between a lot of hip hop. It's a lot of samples from songs that exist. It's basically the same thing for me personally. Anyway, that's how I see it.
No, true. It's literally it's just the opposite way of going about it, kind of. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I like that perspective. So South Africa is home for you guys. I have a question. If you could just educate me a bit. There's so much talent from South Africa in the Afro House space. Is the scene there for electronic music, is it more evolved there versus, because Africa is obviously a huge continent, is there like a more poppin' scene in South Africa versus other parts? And that's why so many great talent come from there specifically?
I think we have a complicated history in our country that allows for a lot of creativity. There's obviously a lot of pain in the history, which allows people to speak about that when they work. But also there's a lot of cultural diversity that comes together when we make music. So that also allows it to evolve very fast. And I think in our country, at least my experience has been that dance music in particular, since for a very long time, is basically pop music. So we would listen to Kwaito, Soulful House, all of that kind of stuff on the radio when we were young, where a lot of countries this was not the case. So for us, it's something we grow up with in South Africa, and that makes a massive difference. So, and that's why you see all these new genres evolving out of South Africa, like Amapiano and all of this kind of stuff. It's because that's the pop music of our country.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So we would listen to that, and we can already hear that. Amapiano started in the neighborhood right next to where we live, and we could see the evolution of the genre, and we can already hear that now in South Africa things are changing again. So there'll be new types of dance music,
like this
coming
3-step now.
3-step,
like
sort of thing.
100%. Dance is a big part of our culture.
Right.
I mean, like in the early 90s, it was Kwaito. Kwaito evolved to house, which was drum. It was, and also different areas in the country, because there's many tribes. They all have their different type of sound.
Yeah, you can go to different cities and you'll find different types of dance music is popping. You can't play the same set everywhere.
Wow.
Exactly. You go to the north, there's a genre called Lekombo, and then you go like to Gauteng, the big city. It's like Amapiano, which used to be like Afro House, you know. And then you go to like the coast, in like the East Coast, where it's like drum, you know. So there's I think that's what makes it special.
Yeah,
because
sorry, it just this stimulated another thought. There's also this thing in our country where DJs have been stars for a long time in South Africa, DJs and producers. I would think, and that was also something that's a recent development in the rest of the world.
Yeah.
But in South Africa, it's been like that for a long time, that a DJ could be a star. So it became this sort of symbol of hope for a lot of people. A lot of young kids aspire to be DJs or producers, because a DJ can be a symbol of making it out of difficult life.
Out of the hood. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And a lot of guys come from the ghettos. It's a guy on a laptop with his like earphones on FL Studio. Then he makes a huge song. And it can change a person's life. So dance is part of our culture.
So cool, man. I just got so much education about the culture and the country and stuff and the scene. That's cool. Actually, it reminds me of a story you guys posted the other day, and I think maybe you shot it and you were dancing and you tagged there's like a new dance or like a new is that like another like subgenre that's emerging?
Yes, it's there. Like I said, in the north, it's called Lekombo.
Cool.
It's been there. It's just that like Casper's saying, the wheel keeps turning, and the way dance music moves in South Africa, it's fast. Like Amapiano went from this style of Amapiano, then it went into something called private school amapiano, which was more soulful, and then it evolved into like there was amapiano tech for some time. Then there was like
Gicha.
there's Gicha, there's like there's so many subgenres of amapiano, you know. And then from that, you can see the guys who are doing 3-step now. They like they are saying it's a fusion of Afro House and amapiano. It's crazy.
No, it's crazy. It reminds me like when I was first getting into DJ, taking it more seriously, like 4 or 5 years ago, I would go on Beatport, for example, getting familiar with the site, and I'm like, damn, there's like 25 genres of electronic music on here. But it sounds like South Africa almost needs its own Beatport because it's got its own 20 plus different genres that keep evolving even more and expanding.
For sure. You know, when before Beatport was big, it was Traxsource, and there when Afro House started, it was basically just South African. It had the little South African flag there on those charts, so it was just South African at that stage. And there was another site that way back that we used to buy music from.
Aphrodisia.
Yeah,
it was like South African house music. It was just it was.
So it was there at one stage, but also the culture now. Songs spread via WhatsApp and Telegram groups,
TikTok, and all of that. Yeah,
it's buying music is not such a big culture in South Africa. It's spreads on the underground a lot more.
Oh,
because
cool.
there aren't any sites where you can buy like this amapiano. You get what I'm saying? You could buy it on maybe iTunes, but you can't buy Waves or MP3 on iTunes. That is the biggest problem with amapiano. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whereas like Afro House, Melodic Tech, or whatever, you can buy the Waves. Only just recently, Beatport started making an amapiano genre, but I think a lot of guys back home,
it's not the culture.
Yeah, then they
Right.
Yeah, they're not into that stuff. They know that the song is gonna move on the underground, and then eventually it pops up.
But TikTok.
Yeah, and most of the time there's a dance to it. You know, like people love dancing there.
Got it.
So like a song will have its own dance. And remember, like there was that song many years ago about the guys who used to shuffle.
Every day I'm shuffling.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was this big pop song back in the day. So it's essays like that. Like every big song has a dance to it.
Got it. And this is how your song can potentially go viral.
Yes.
That's how you market yourself, essentially. I was going to talk about this a little later on in the episode today, but just because it's on point now, is this how you guys started to create a name for yourselves? You guys were producing music and then spreading it through channels of similar nature? I mean, maybe it wasn't Telegram so many years ago or whatever, but how did you guys start creating notoriety in the scene?
I think we were, I think we'd say we were on the timeline with like Europe and stuff like that, because we were releasing like on Traxsource and Beatport.
Okay.
Yeah, because the sound Afro House at the time, it was not the main genre in SA, so it makes it a bit difficult to penetrate that market because you're doing something completely different. I mean, it's like Afro Tech or Afro House in SA right now. It's only it's very niche. Like you don't really hear it on the radio. You don't hear it at the clubs. You don't hear it unless it's an event. It's an Afro House event. Then, or maybe you're in Cape Town where things are a little bit different from the rest of South Africa.
Yeah, to get back to your question, we met at music college and we started making some music together.
Yeah.
And it was different genres at the start.
Okay.
But we made a house beat. It was like a Kwaito type of soulful house beat. I sent it to KG and I think he put some chords on it. And we got to the studio and we were trying to get vocalists in at the time. So I posted ads at the universities, but we couldn't find anyone. So at the end of the day, KG had done a song at college that he sang the vocal on. So I said to him, just I'll write some words, just get in the booth and sing it. So I wrote some words and he went into the booth and he sang it, we recorded it and we finished the track. It was called Somebody. It's still on our SoundCloud.
Cool.
And there was like a soulful house tune and we we started spreading it a bit. So we made a kwaito song, we made a house song, and we made a hip hop song, and I sent all of those to radio. We still made up packages for radio those days. You know, you print a little CD, print the cover to stick on the CD, you know, to some, posted it to all the radio stations, and the one that kind of picked up was this soulful house tune. A guy named Abika Soul was big at the time. He remixed it, and we went into the
charts,
Traxsource top 10 charts.
Wow!
So and at that stage, I then started. There was, I don't think Instagram was still. It wasn't.
We only caught on late to like Facebook.
Maybe we were late. I can't remember, but I was on Facebook, and I sent that song to a few thousand people on there, a few thousand relevant people in Messenger, and that's how it started moving. So it was a bit of a grind.
Yeah.
But from there, we started getting some nice traction. It was hard to break into the scene in South Africa because at that stage there was a popular group called Mikasa, who were, they had a similar setup than us. Similar kind of sound at that stage.
There's like two black guys.
And a
One
white
white
guy.
guy. There's like
trumpet.
We have saxophone. I play keys. There's a guy, the DJ is also playing keys, and I'm the DJ. So it was like that. But
so it was a little bit hard to break in that sense until 2017 when we had
it was even before that with the first Manu remix.
Yeah.
But prior to that, we were doing pop music and hip hop.
Oh no way!
Yeah, like the Somebody project was very experimental. I was a DJ before anyway. I was DJing, playing house music, deep house. But then when we started, I mean, Casper, he was playing in bands and stuff like that. So when we got together, we were just experimenting a lot, and I think that song was the one that did the best. And we were like, okay, maybe let's explore this a little bit more, you know, because it was different. And I think it got recognition, and then we started writing more songs. I think the first one was the Manu remix of Urongo, which was also a bit pop. And then Manu remixed it, and then it did well. And then we made another one called Light a Spark. Then Manu remixed it again, and then it did very well. You know, you see like Black Coffee playing it at Ultra, like, and we still in SA. We're like, what's going on here? You know, it's like, you know, until we made Amachoni, which Manu remixed again.
I was just about to say there's consistency. Yes. So you're working a lot together.
Yeah. In 2019, at least we finally got to meet him and play with him, and we asked him like, bro, like you just have a thing of remixing our songs and then they just get to the top. He was like, the thing is, there's just something special and different about the songs that you make, because when you listen to the original and you listen to the remixes, like we said, there's always melodies. We writing melodies. Mm-hmm. There's chords. There's guitars. There's saxophone. So I think it made it easier for some of these guys to remix.
Right. Speaking about one of the Manu remixes, Amahoni. That's
not I am honey.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's all good.
Yeah.
Amahoni.
So that remix is about to hit 2 million streams. It's pretty close. I was checking the other day. I was curious, is that song the one that really set off your career, do you feel?
The international career, definitely. Yes.
Got you. Yeah. When you start hitting those type of numbers, what type of thing starts to happen? Like, does the phone start ringing more offers, fees go up? What's that like?
You know, for us, it was complicated because it was, again, social media wasn't the way it is right now. So at that stage, Black Coffee was rising very fast. And he was playing this particular song a lot. And there was, I don't even know if there was Shazam at that stage. So
I think Shazam was there. It's just the Instagram culture was not what it is right now.
So people connected his name with the song. So
Got it.
we at that stage didn't get much, and we didn't know that it was blowing up because we were in South Africa and it's blowing up internationally. So we did not get any traction. We had to really. It was, I guess, fate. I went on a family holiday to Greece, and I went to a few places and I heard the song playing in 3 or 4 of the clubs that I visited, and I realized there were some people, some friends in Greece who showed me around, and then I realized there's something here, and I spoke to some people and I said, how about we can do a tour? And they said, okay, but you'd have to, your song is very big here, you can definitely do that, but you'd have to make some work of it. So we started jumping on inboxes. We had to connect our song with our brand.
Got it. Okay.
At that stage. And that I remember I was also on Facebook Messenger, and I sent about 5,000 messages to people in Greece. Venue owners and promoters and so on, and that then started making the connection between us and the song, and we were able to tour. So for us, it was a lot of. We were blessed that someone who was rising so fast was interested in supporting our music. That was fantastic,
Right?
and that was the foot in, and then we had to really hustle.
Yeah, and lucky for us, we had already made so many collaborations with people overseas, whether it's in Greece or it's in, it's like I think Casper coming through to Europe, it helped in a sense that we never saw the possibilities, and then I remember he calls me, he's like, bro, I'm here in some beach club, they just playing. I think because they knew who he was, we didn't realize how big we were. You get what I'm saying?
Wow,
That's the thing.
okay.
And then he's like, they made a playlist full of Stones and Bones music. We were like, because back home it was hard to know how the music is moving. We were just in studio making music, getting
down.
it out there, making music. Yeah, we playing a few shows here and there, but we did a whole lot of music, like a whole lot of music. That's why when you got there, they were making, it's like a dedication to Stones and Bones type of playlist, because it's not only Amachoni, it was like a lot of songs, and it was very soulful, it was very melodic. So yeah,
I remember the first time that happened when I walked into a place and the DJ recognized that I'm the guy from Stones and Bones, and he started playing just Stones and Bones.
yeah.
It was completely overwhelming. I started crying and I had to kind of leave, and because
Wow, man.
that's I guess the shock. You can't believe that
You're that big, but you don't even know.
Yeah.
It's like back home.
It's crazy.
Back home you like we just and the thing is, back home we were still trying to penetrate the mainstream market, but the sound was going that way, we were going this way. And then we had to make a call that, okay, let's focus on the international scene now. And then we started pushing that more releases, more collaborations. Like for us, we started touring.
What a come up. For real. No, it's wild because I don't know. This is a crazy moment right now, because the next thing I was going to talk about was the fact that you got support from Black Coffee, Dixon, Kind Music, just to name a few. And then I was going to ask, can you share some cool moments when you would get news, like what that kind of support felt like? And then we just started talking about that. Wow.
It was amazing, bro.
So
I mean,
cool.
like Mo Black, we initially the Amachoni song, we released it on ourselves on there was a platform called Data File Host.
Okay.
Yeah, the original version. So when we put it out there for free, I think it did like 15,000 downloads in the first few days, and that was a lot. We were like, okay, it means there's something. And at the time we had this guy he was doing our PR. This guy always used to tell us, like, guys, don't sleep on this song. This is a really, really dope song. And then I don't know how Casper got in touch with Mo Black. And Mo Black, that's when he was also starting out. Like, he had a few releases, but it was the beginning of the record label. And then he jumped on the remixes, and he got Manu or something like that. And then I still remember coming to studio, Casper playing me the masters that Mo Black had just sent.
Yeah.
And I'm chilling there. I'm like, listening to the song. I was like, bro, this is our first #1 song. This is it. Like, I just heard it. The first time I heard it, I was like, this is going to #1. And it did exactly that.
Wow.
It's kind of crazy though.
Yeah, and that's cool that you felt that, because a lot of times I've heard many situations where people say they never knew that a song was going to be a hit, because they say you should never necessarily go into a project saying, I got to make a hit record today.
Yeah.
It kind of just happens by fluke sometimes, but you guys felt this even before it went out, huh?
Yeah, no, the minute I just got to studio, he played me the master. I'm chilling there on the couch, and I'm like, bro, this is gonna go to #1. It's like,
wow,
you know, because I'm always crate digging, looking for new music and stuff like that. But when I heard that, I was like, this is it.
Wow. Yeah, that's
This
look.
is
It was a remix. The original.
Yeah.
We didn't know what it was gonna do. It was
okay.
The original. We were sitting in studio. I was picking at a guitar line, and I think Toshi was there.
No, Toshi was not there. She came in after.
She came in after this, and then that was the whole process of recording the song. She wanted at one stage just to sing on bass and drums, and so that was a whole process. And then the original, I think it had captured something very beautiful and soulful, and it was only with the rework, the remix, that you know, I think when KG heard the way the beauty of the vocal was collaborating with the beat, I think then he knew that.
Because it had something special. Like I said, the PR guy would be like, and he was talking about the original. This was before the remixes or anything like that.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah. Because the original one was the one we put out there for free, and it got it got thousands of downloads, and that's how we were moving music at the time. But yeah.
Wow, I mean, the story's awesome. The come up, how you just organically, you're traveling, you get all this news and things. Your head's down, working, hustling so hard. But meanwhile, on the outside, people are receiving you well. You're blowing up like that. It's cool. Yeah, it's cool, amazing. Coming back to, you shared a little bit about the origin story. So it sounds like you guys connected in music college.
Yeah.
Cool. And you were both studying music production specifically, and you were classmates, or?
Yeah, Casper used to make these jokes, but for some reason I was the only guy who found the jokes funny.
Okay.
Yeah, they were hilarious, but I think they were above the level of some of the.
Wow, shots fired.
Yeah, no. So I think that's we were three guys there. We decided, one guy suggested we have a barbecue and we make some music, and that's kind of just went from there.
Cool.
Yeah. Like we said, we were doing pop. We were doing a whole lot of experimental stuff, bro. Like in studio, we need a different sound. We'd record a broomstick, like trying to make some shaker, hi-hat type of sound. We were yeah. I think that's what makes the music fun, you know. It's I think we are still those guys. It's just that the scene has changed so much. I mean, we were never like sound packs. Now there's sound packs, there's all of this stuff happening, and we come from a different era, if you can say that, you know, because we would make sounds from the ground all the way up. So but yeah, that's how it met. We were doing pop, hip hop. Like Casper said, he sent me the beat, put some chords over it. It was like add a few melodies here and there. Got in studio, got me in the booth, recorded that.
Nice.
The song did well, so yeah.
Yeah, that was in 2010.
Yes.
2010. Okay. Wow, so you guys been together for a minute, making it happen.
We met in 2010. The song we made it.
Yeah, we met in 2010. Yeah.
The song released officially, I think 2012.
Nice.
And everybody was on Facebook but us. I think
How come?
we were, I think we you can say we were a bit weird.
You just didn't take it seriously at that stage.
Got you.
Yeah, I mean the people at the college, everybody was on social media and all of that stuff. We were like underground cats, you know. We were like,
Yeah, I feel it. Okay.
you know, and then by the time we caught on that, okay, this Facebook thing is let's maybe, because we needed a page. I never wanted to be on Facebook, but then in order to create a Facebook page for Stones and Bones, we needed to have Facebook
a personal account. Yes, true.
That's how we ended up getting on Facebook.
Got it. By force.
Yeah,
Not by choice.
exactly. Same with Instagram. Then there was Instagram. It all started, and then only we caught on later onto Instagram that here's a new platform. Okay.
Yeah, it's the same with TikTok now. Now we have to be on TikTok.
Oh man, it's tough to get on TikTok. I've been in and out of that relationship like 15 times in the last couple years. It's like, it's just another world, man.
Yeah.
But obviously
completely.
useful and important to a degree.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Cool. A bit of an interesting question I have here. So when you work together in a duo, there's never really a majority decision. In a lot of instances, someone has to take the lead and make a final decision. How do you navigate those instances? I mean, obviously, as a duo that's working together over 10 years, there's a lot of alignment, synergy. Otherwise, you wouldn't be working together. But in certain situations, someone in some cases has to take the lead. How do you navigate that? And the reason I ask is because there's a lot of duos out there. There's a lot of partnerships in business, music, whatever. And to keep those partnerships and duos thriving, you have to navigate, again, those instances. So how do you guys make it work and remain with that synergy?
I think it's more of, you know, we are not living in an illusion, if I can say that. We have the tough conversations.
Mm-hmm.
I think just in every relationship, you have to have those conversations where it's like we are sitting down, it's a back and forth until we have to come to a decision. It's never that I'm making this decision or Casper's making this decision. It's just sometimes it looks like the decision is done, but you'll find that there was a whole lot of back and forth.
Right.
You know, I don't know how other duos do it, but I can tell you how we do it. It's just a whole lot of conversations. Maybe it's not really an argument, but it's like this. He feels this way because it's two personalities, also at the same time.
Of course, yeah.
We have to find the middle ground on how we navigate through certain situation and instances.
Yeah, cool. I was curious too. Like, so for example, when I interviewed Bogue, he had a song with there was 5 names in the credits on one song. It was a remix too. And I was just curious, when someone, for example, on a music project puts a top line, puts a cool hi-hat sample, but then another artist comes in and says, hey, I want to swap this out and put something cool. I was like, how do you guys navigate that? Because in the creative process, obviously you put something in there and you want it to stay, right? So I was like, how do you work around certain creative differences of opinions in those situations?
It's hard. I mean, I'll have a hi-hat I like.
Yeah.
Because it's like, this is not working. I'm like, I really like that hi-hat.
Yeah.
You know? So
I don't think he gets that attached to hi-hats.
but yeah, I'm just making an example.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Cool. But it sounds like you guys, through partnership and through good synergy, you navigate through those situations, good at resolving.
Yeah, you have to look beyond your ego.
Yes.
I think that's
There we go. Cool.
the big thing. I often have to ask myself, am I emotionally attached to this piece because I worked really hard on it, or I spent a lot of time with it, or is it my ego that's attached because I feel like this has brought a piece of me into the song? You know, for what reason am I attached to this, and why do I not want to let it go?
Yeah.
And if you can ask yourself that question, you can start acting in service of the music again, and not serving yourself or your ego, which is very important, I think, as an artist. You know, it's you want to open yourself up to be a channel for creativity to flow, and you're part of the project. And sometimes you will be 10% part, you know, and somebody else will do 90% or 80%. Sometimes you'll do the majority of the work, but ultimately it's about something beyond you. And if you can take yourself back to that place, I think you can create collaboratively quite easily.
Yeah, beautifully said. That's really what I was looking for, because I think what you said, I just wrote it down here so I remember, is look beyond your ego. And I think the analogy and how you express that like could be applied to like real life arguments or personal arguments, and even in music, of course.
For sure.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Nice, man. Shifting gears a little bit into music and production, I was curious, in a time where streams is more important than selling units, and in a time where singles and EPs are more common than album projects, what motivated you guys to release an album? Because I saw you had an album on Spotify.
It was during COVID.
Okay.
It was during COVID. We after a Euro tour in 2019. We had decided that we want to make songs for like local radio, you know, because we felt like we still need the footing. We're traveling overseas, but we still, it's like we still wanted the recognition back home, because it's like, why is this not happening, you know? And then COVID happened, and then we started experimenting, like, but I was working on a lot of music at the time, because I'm just there, just making a lot of music. But I was, because we were not able to play Afro House gigs and all of that. It made it very difficult. That's why the album, if you listen to it, you can feel that it's more of a journey. Like it basically describes the 12 years that we as Stones and Bones at the time, where we were. At that point in time, because the world has stopped.
True.
You know, and then we got to, because when the world was on, everything was just hard. So at least it gave us an opportunity to put a body of work together, because when you're touring, I don't know how these other guys do it, like they're touring, they're making music, it's crazy. So for us, we had time to actually put down something that could say where we were, where we come from, and where we might be heading. Who knows?
Nice.
It wouldn't be. I don't think there's a better time to do an album when the world stops and
super true.
everyone was stopping and listening for once.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the perfect time, if ever there was one, to put an album together.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was weird because we had to work remotely. We couldn't get in studio together a lot of the time because South Africa had strict lockdowns for a very long time.
Dude, same in Toronto. Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah.
And it was crazy because like most of the songs I was stuck. You know, it's like we are always used to be in studio together making music. So this time I have so many songs that I've made, and I'm like, and we're like, maybe let's put an album together. And then I'll just send Casper something, and then he just put some guitar lines on it, or I'll get a vocalist in when I can. But then, because we are so used to working together, it's like I have this piece of work, but I'm like, I don't want to mix it. I'll just send it to him.
Yeah.
Like, I just kept sending him a lot of music because I had a lot. I had done a lot of music, and then we made it happen. You know, so it was. I think also it gave us a chance to explore other. We both put out solo projects at the time. You know, I did like more the Amapiano type, African style, and then Casper put out like say more indie pop rock type album. And people were like, "What's going on here?" Like, Cage is releasing this. Like, is this the end of Stones and Bones? But not knowing that we were working also on the album.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So lucky for us, when the album released, Greece had lifted the COVID restrictions, so we were able to start pushing the album when we started touring again in 2022.
Oh, nice.
So 2021, 2020, we never toured or did anything. We were just playing a few shows here and there.
Creating.
Yeah, we had made some life choices at that stage, not to travel, so we couldn't travel.
Yeah.
Right. So one thing I noticed, like with streams and stuff on Spotify, especially album projects, normally what you see is, because singles and EPs are mostly what goes out these days, I see what you see on an album project is usually the first few songs have a ton of streams, and then slowly the streams start to taper off, because I guess we live in a time where people's attention spans just don't want to sit on one thing too long.
For sure.
But much to my surprise, your guys' album project, it's like not that at all. It's like a lot of streams at the top, of course, then it tapers off maybe one or two and then picks up again, and it's like this up and down flow, which is rare to see from my due diligence anyway, analyzing streams on Spotify. Do you think that happened, like, was there strategy behind the way you released the album? Did you do multiple single releases, or is this just the way people consume the music?
I think it's the way we laid out the album. We wanted people to have an experience, because it would move from one type of, it's still dance music, but it would move from, like, let's say the first song on the album, it's like this down-tempo, organic type of song. And then it moves into like a South African type of house, Afro. Then it moves into like an Afro tech or an Afro house type of thing. Then it switches to like an Amapiano track, where it switches. So I think maybe...
Yeah, we're trying to reverse engineer how it happened. We don't specifically know.
Right.
But that could be one of the reasons.
Yeah, cool. So you made like a proper journey for the listeners to go on.
Yeah, it's like, that's why we called it the 12-year saga, because it was the 12 years that Stones and Bones has been together. We tried to put, it's like, this is what we've been through, what we're going through, and then who knows where we're going from here.
Right. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Nice, man. Okay, I'm excited to ask this question. So the song Dedication to a DJ. There's actually a funny question that I like to ask here on the podcast, and it's, do you think there's just too many DJs these days? And the reason I ask is because obviously being a DJ is kind of like the new rock star, and it's super cool. So that's why it's kind of trendy and everything. But I was curious, like the inspiration behind the song and the sample and the vocal that's in there. What's your guys' thoughts? Like, do you think there's too many DJs? Is there like a funny little quirk or something like that with this song, or is it not at all tied to that? Or what's your guys' thoughts? Or could you share a bit about that song and your thoughts on the DJ scene?
Yeah, I had that idea on a plane. We were flying back from one of our tours, and I started working this vocal in my head. And it started with this idea that when I was young and I wanted to grow up, I wanted to be a rock star. That was the thing, you'd tour around, be on big stages, play for big crowds and so on. And as I've progressed through life, it's now a DJ. There's no more bands. There's no more, if you look at the charts, even music charts, it's always solo artists who are now scoring #1 singles.
True, yeah.
You won't find bands on there anymore. So the whole thing has changed, and DJs have become superstars. So now it's this thing for kids for young people that when they grow up, they want to be a DJ because a DJ is a star. But yes, there is a bit of a little bit of commentary, I guess, social commentary in there, because DJing, like everything else, is a very serious craft and a very serious career. You are influencing a lot of how people experience a night or an occasion, or whatever it might be. And I do think technology has allowed certain players to come into the scene who have not necessarily understood the history of DJing or the history of the craft, or really what it takes to be able to craft a journey or an experience for someone versus coming in. I always compare this to sex. Good sex would have good foreplay involved that gets you to a stage where now the lovemaking can really be open and passionate, versus somebody who just comes in and wants to just skip straight to the deed. That would be a DJ who has not necessarily gone through the whole process of understanding what it is
The culture.
to take responsibility for somebody's musical journey on the night.
Wow.
Yeah, so it goes a bit deeper than that, but it started off being just a song where we can appreciate the good DJs out there.
Yeah, for sure. No, I like this answer because it seems when I ask this question on the podcast, like a lot of the guests I have take this like very political, neutral stance, like, hey, I don't judge, it's all good, it's a trendy thing, let them enjoy, which is right in its own way. But I really admire how you articulated that, explaining like it's not just, although you can learn quickly how to push buttons and mix music, it's much more deep than that, and it can go as deep as you want to take it, essentially.
Yeah, and once again, it's fantastic, and in our country it's like this. Many people are DJs and want to DJ. It's not a new thing for us. So it's amazing that people are coming into the culture. That's fantastic. Let us show you how deep you can go, how amazing it can be.
Right.
It's crazy. Yeah, I think it was a very, I think, cool concept, and and it worked. You know, like,
Yeah.
we love the song, and I think a lot of DJs out there love the song because it's like we just appreciating the craft and the work, the amount of work that it takes, for one to be like a good DJ. I mean, we had a gig back home just before we left for Southeast Asia with my little brother, and he reminded me, he's like, bro, because we share some of our promos with him, you know, and he was like, I still remember the days where, like, when you got like new music, you'd sit down with a piece of paper and just writing the songs down, because the flow, this is before Record Box and any other stuff, because I had to make these playlists so that I don't forget them, and when you think, when he just took me back to a time where it was like, wow, this is actually how we did it. Now you just put everything on a USB thumb drive and you just,
There you go.
you just, I mean, I can get some work done, and like, it's this perfect. We're not judging anyone, but it's just,
there's the sync button has also changed a lot. It allows people to come into the DJ world a lot easier. But once you move past that and you can use it as a creative element, it now allows you to start exploring everything else that the technology has to offer. Instead of, so move beyond that. Take it seriously as you would any career or craft, and you will see how much it can really give back to you. It's the same with you can go to the top 100, download some songs and make a set.
Yeah.
Or you can start searching for some magic and give people a blend of what they know versus what they don't.
An experience.
That is something that's quite special about the experience. And I think that's the opportunity for anybody who's a DJ to create something unique,
It's like music. It's like making music, like I mean, that's how we ended up at a music college. It's because we had an interest. And then we were like, okay, you go beyond, you go deeper, like learn more, learn how to make chords, learn. It's basically that, we're appreciating all the people who are actually doing the work, and I don't blame the way the culture has blown up. I mean, they're superstars, like, and the DJs are the superstars now. So just like us coming up, we saw certain DJs or artists and we wanted to be like them. But I mean, there's a part where on the song you're saying, some education or something.
And let us take a moment to get educated.
Yes, let us take a moment to get educated. You know, it's one of those things that in order to know where you're going, you need to know where whatever it is, where you come from. I think you're gonna appreciate it more if you understand the culture where the DJs come from. You know, it doesn't really matter if you're using the sync button or whatever. It's just basically appreciating all the DJs, even the younger ones. That this is people are putting. They're not doing this just for show. People are using this for it's bread and butter for a lot of people out there. You know, and it's not a gimmick. You know, and we can see gimmicks and.
Yeah, it's really interesting what's happened to the scene. I was watching a clip of David Guetta speaking about this on Instagram, and he was saying there's a difference between a DJ and an entertainer.
Yes.
And that's, I think it's so prevalent nowadays that you still get DJ as a job, and a lot of people do that. They are resident DJs at places and they craft an experience. And then you get also the entertainment side of things, which is now an expectation in many ways. People want to be also entertained if they come watch you. So it's up to you where you place yourself in that sphere and how far you want to go. But there's a definite, you're a DJ first, and then you learn to be an entertainer if you want to progress in the scene in many ways. You know,
if you want to be a flamethrower as your DJ. It's all on you. But
Yeah, actually, I want to make sure I took this in correctly because I think it's a great point. So correct me if I'm wrong, but you were saying the sync button's not a bad thing. It's what are you using it for? Are you using it just to make the job easier, or are you using it as a tool of convenience for you to do more? So to give some context, like maybe in Miss Fish, for example, they got 4 CDJs. Yeah. Maybe if you're working on 4 CDJs, you're dancing around trying to keep the hype and give the crowd energy. The sync button's not so bad if you got 4 decks going at the same time. So I think that's an important point, that although it's easy to quickly learn how to push the buttons and put on the show, like, are you leveraging that to create and enhance the experience for the people?
Yeah, that's nicely said.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like Alpha Theta, sometimes as a DJ, somebody who's been DJing for almost 20 years now, I still have a dream that Alpha Theta Pioneer will release a CDJ or a player that doesn't show the display, that doesn't have a sync button.
Ooh.
You know, it's still a dream of mine that I would love to see what's gonna happen. You know, it's still, you can still use your thumb drive, but there's no BPM shown. It's just showing you maybe not even show you the length. You know. Wow. Because I think the problem with a lot of these DJs, they don't even know the music they're playing.
Right.
And that's the craziest thing. It's like,
right.
You know, because like we send each other songs all the time. Like, bro, listen to this song. Like, I'm playing the songs in my car. It's like I know the song. I know, like, and when it's starting, when is the break. So sometimes I'll be chilling and be like, yo, if only Pioneer or whatever could just release a player.
Yeah.
You know, not vinyl. Like, vinyl, it's not practical anymore. I mean, who wants to walk around with crates and stuff? But you still have your music on your thumb drive. You just have the pitch and the jog wheel. And then there's no BPM shown.
I'm already sweating, man.
You know? Yeah. So it's just one of those things. Maybe the Pioneer guys are going to be watching this episode somehow. Maybe.
Yeah.
They'll just do that. But then, like Casper was saying, like, if you're using it as like you made an example with the 4 players, there's nothing really, really, really wrong with that. You know, like, it's, I mean, if we can see that this person is doing this, like the effects, and that's why the players have, I think, all of those things. You know, like they I mean, before the big mixes with the effects were on the CDJ. You know, you just had, like, maybe it was a flanger, a wah, and you just press it, make the effect on the jog wheel and stuff like that. But obviously, as technology with progress, there's always negative feedback, positive and negative. It's part of growth.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, life's constantly evolving.
Exactly.
Technology, like you can't resist it. It's about using it, accepting it, and figuring out. But again, I think the big gem here is don't necessarily use technology as a way to make things easier. Use it as leverage to enhance whatever you're doing.
I mean, it's like there's a reason why the music now, a lot of the Afro House or whatever sounds the same. It's because I'd say it's cheat codes, but it's not doing anybody any good, because if you're buying this sound pack, I'm buying this sound pack, he's buying this sound pack, it means we're going to make 3 songs that sound the same. There's no way, if we are using the same sound pack, you know, we have AI, you're using maybe your Logic Pro, you are generating your chords from whatever, it means it's limited. And the thing is, AI learns from us. So if we stop creating, it means AI doesn't learn.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's like,
It's
it
like
can
a
only give
catch-22,
you something that has been done. It can't give you something that is new. So we as creators, we constantly have to create. And that's how we're going to keep the culture alive.
I love it. Man, great chat, guys. I got one more question. I always ask at the end. I'm sure as this podcast grows, there's a lot of up-and-coming artists, DJs, producers that may get some inspiration, be fans of you guys and what you're doing. So I'd ask you to just imagine now there's a DJ producer out there who's currently maybe has a couple residences, releasing some songs on some smaller labels, but it's really looking to make that quantum leap or break through that next barrier to gain more notoriety, fame, success, etc. Are there a few pieces of advice or gems you could drop for that up-and-coming artist?
Sure. Yeah, it's a good question, because the game is changing constantly. What I do think is really important is the world is your oyster. It's a big place, but start building a small community. That is so important. If you have a core community, I see it a lot with artists coming from South Africa, where they would come from a specific township, and that township supports them like crazy. Because once you have that base to work from, and whatever you might find this niche, they're located all over the world, but they are in your comment section, leaving comments, engaging with you. They are in your inbox. You have a little mailing list or a subscription channel. They're getting your music. You're sending them videos. You're engaging with this core group of people and they will create your hype for you. Yeah. So I think that's we all want to be big, and we forget the smaller core of things. Yeah. That fan base. There are people, when we go play in Athens, for example, there's a lady who has come to almost every single show we've played there over the past 6 years. Wow. And that's because of the first time we went for supper with these people afterwards. We saw what kind of fans they were, and we all went to supper together. Super nice. And from that, we have someone who comes to, regardless of how we've changed over the years or how we play, so always there. And that sort of thing, I think, is special for you as an artist. So start with that core community. That would be the first thing I would say. Take your time to find your sound. That's another thing I would say. Because we are in a world where there's so much sameness that we all want something unique. Don't worry about the quality. The quality is irrelevant at this stage.
Relative also.
Relative, yes. Yeah. So focus on the uniqueness. The world wants that. It's craving that. It's craving something new and unique and different. Authentic. So that would be, take your time, think about what about you are you translating or communicating. Everything is communication through the music. If you can find something like that, stick with it. There's going to be resistance at the start. Whenever we go out of our comfort zone, and we make something new, we get a little bit like anxious about it, because we know our existing people might think this is weird or different or so on, but you're giving yourself eventually the chance at uniqueness. Whereas if you're just catering for the same thing over and over and over, I think you're missing out on what it really means to engage fully in artistic expression. So, focus on that. Take some time for that, and maybe it's an element that you have on every song that you make. Certain sounds, or a certain kind of vocal style, or whatever it might be. It might be weird at first. People always think that this shit is weird at the start, but they get used to it and they start loving it. So those would be the two things that I can think of right now. I don't know if you...
just have your own musical identity, and that's goes back to what we were saying, that find yourself, and it takes time. Like for us, it's been 15 years now we've been together. We're still finding new stuff, and like we
learning.
We do a lot of weird stuff in the studio, and we are anxious that how are the people gonna react to this, but that's where we are at that moment in time, and it's art. At the end of the day, imagine if the Leonardo da Vinci's of the world was painting the same picture over and over and over and over and over and over.
Right.
It wouldn't make sense, So traveling inspires us. Going back to the point where, like your fan base, it's like we always hear like hip hop. I told you I listen to a lot of hip hop. You hear these guys saying like, "I've got my hood behind me," and that's exactly what Casper's talking about.
Got you.
You start where you are. You start where I think all of these guys who made it wherever it is that they are, they started somewhere.
Yeah.
They had a following. Look at the biggest, I think, like kind of music, for example. For some people, they look at those guys like they just came out of nowhere.
Right.
And
not the case.
That's not the case. They've been building for years and years and years, and then that consistency and that uniqueness that they bringing to the sound. The music sounds completely different from everybody else, and even the three of them, they have their own individual sounds, which just makes it even more amazing.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? They are playing everybody else's music, but when you listen to their songs, you'll be like, wow.
Very unique.
This is amazing. This is a really dope remix, because I think they've worked on it. I don't know the guys personally. I've never met them. I'm just a fan of their music. And another thing is, never stop being a fan.
That's a good point.
I always tell myself that the day I stop being a fan of other producers or DJs, I'm gonna quit music, because now I'll always be a fan. It's like Brodie, I can be inspired by you. Like Brodie does 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm like, wow, that's really dope. And you see somebody else, I'm like, wow, that's really cool. Because somebody might be a fan of me, I might not be aware, and you might be a fan of someone, and you're not even aware. Like there's so many people looking up to us, and there are so many people that we look up to. So never stop being a fan. Never stop being a fan.
That's important, and you'll learn from people along the way who you never thought you would learn something from.
Definitely.
If you can keep an open mind about that, and you see yourself as constantly being educated, and look at it like you would look at a degree. People go to medical school and study to be a doctor for 5 or 7 years, and then they specialize afterwards and stuck a good 10 years out of their life. You should think of the music industry in the same way, that yes, you're going to the school of life for music. Maybe you won't go through a college or a university, but you have to give yourself the same investment in terms of time and energy. And I often think with us, because I'm trying to think, how did we get to where we are? This has been a long journey. And a lot of that is just persistence. If you stick to who you are for long enough, it's almost as if the world says, okay, you're not going away. You're cool. It's, so there's also something about, if you're a young musician or producer going into this life, be aware that your teachings will come in different ways than somebody else's would come if they just went to university. And you're going to learn at the school of life, and there's going to be highs and lows. You live in the world that's full of highs and lows. You get home from a good gig, you can't sleep.
Right
now, this tomorrow you're tired and feeling all sorts of emotions because you've just come from this massive high to this kind of almost a come down. Yeah. So I understand and accept that this journey is going to have a lot of highs and lows for you, and a lot of times where you feel like giving up. You have to go through that. I don't think you've really had a proper musical journey if you haven't at some stage thought, oh my goodness, I can't do this anymore.
I'm done.
Yeah. I think that's part of the process, and if you can understand that, especially if you have, and this is maybe the last point, a mentor, that is
cool.
Mentors, it's the absolute difference between someone who can move a lot faster through the levels versus someone who has to learn everything through the experience over and over. Is having someone to guide you along the way. So if you can find that, it's going to make your journey so much smoother.
And going back to the having a fan base, I'd rather have a slow incline. You building and building and building, because when you check most of these guys who just shoot up, there's no foundation. They get to the top, and when they fall, you're going back right where you were at the bottom. At least if you're building over the years, it's like you're not building alone. If you're here and you've built, even when they'll be like, this guy fell off, but he didn't really fall off. He's just where he's at. He might not be the most popular DJ or whatever, but it's easier. You make a big song on TikTok, you don't have any of the stuff that Casper was talking about. You never went through the process. You go from you were doing like no gigs. We've seen guys like you go from no gigs, you just made a song, it goes viral on TikTok, now you're here at the top. There's all of these people are gonna come at you now. It's like everybody, and that's what makes it very, I don't know, it's
that's a recipe for depression, for
disaster.
Easy to fall off.
You fall into other things, but when you're building, it takes time. Like, you don't just become a doctor overnight,
right?
An architect, or like all this massive stuff that we are seeing around the world. It's people who took their time.
And then they were able to, when it came, they were able to handle it because they've built a foundation. So it might take a while, but spend this time to be ready for when that moment comes for you. You can be there and enjoy it.
Embrace it.
I'll give you a closing example. We've had to change our lifestyles to still make this thing viable, because when we first broke into the international market, we organized our own first tour and we were partying it up. We were having the best time because this is dream come true. We've made it. So we went back home with we paid off some debt, but almost no money because we partied all of it out. And now, a few years later, we live as clean as we can. We eat as healthy as we can when we're on tour. We don't drink when we're on tour. We don't use substances. We've educated ourselves about sleep.
We learned the hard way.
Yeah,
we learned the hard way. We've hit some lows.
Yeah,
and you can imagine, like, when we first started touring, I'm like a black kid from South Africa who grew up in the hood.
Yeah,
the first international show is in Paris. I've never been overseas, bro. It's like you can imagine, like it's crazy. It's like
it went off. Yeah,
it's like I'm in Paris, bro. Like so you can imagine. So it's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, so you are your own future in this thing. So take care of it.
No doubt.
Just where you have to.
Nice, guys. That was probably the best answer I've gotten to that question so far. So thank you. So much value, inspiration, wisdom. Appreciate it. Some closing comments. I'm so glad we got to make this work, from doing the gig at Miss Fish, now the podcast. I'm grateful for the new friendship, partnership. And I just want to acknowledge all your hard work and consistency spanning over a decade. Now, especially now as we spoke about it, the Afro scene is highly competitive, and you guys are still staying relevant, consistent, doing your thing. So hats off, salute to you both.
Thank you.
More power, health, success, safe journey back to SA. And thanks for being on the show. Appreciate it.
For sure.
Yeah, thanks for making it happen. And thank you for the thoughtful questions. It's always nice to get into an interview and people have researched a bit, and we can build a bit of depth in the conversation.
And it's all about connections, like making good friendships along the way.
For sure.
Like meeting the right people, the right energy, So thank you for this platform. Thank you for, man. I mean, we
had a good time.
We can do a lot of thank yous until the sun sets, It
was worth it to get up early and to find clean clothes.
To At the end of the tour, I'm super lucky they're here right now.
Yeah, we're flying out tomorrow. I'm left with just one clean white T-shirt. Okay, this was the nicest one, I think. That we still had from.
So when our wives fetch us from the airport, they're gonna get us smelly welcome.
Tour life is crazy, bro. Like there were times back when we were still like learning the stuff. We like smelling the T-shirts. I'm like, bro, do you still have any clean ones? He was just, try this one. We just
not all glamour,
but it's part of the journey. Learn to enjoy it.
Part of
learn to enjoy it.
And share that with the world. We're always sharing on our socials what it's really like.
No doubt.
People think it's wonderful.
And have fun, man. One of the main reasons we do this music, it's, for me, music saved my life. I could have gotten into a whole lot of things, the way I grew up, where I come from, but it really, really did save my life. And I think it's we should never ever take it for granted. It's for us to be able to travel the world and share our art and meet so many people. It's a blessing, bro. We always say that a lot of people where we come from, like anywhere in the world, they will never get to see as many places as we've seen. And it's people who are working decent jobs, doctors, architects, all of that. But the music has given us that freedom. So, we respect it. Respect it, enjoy it, have fun, man. It's cool. Not that serious. It's not that deep.
For sure.
Enjoy.
Sure. Cool.
Yeah, so thank you for a
Brodie.
wonderful...
Thank you guys. No doubt. Appreciate you guys. Like, comment, subscribe. It's a wrap. Thanks. Peace.